Hi y'all. So today is just one of those random videos I mentioned that I would be doing. I just have a lot of projects that I've been doing lately that require like a lot of time and focus and processing and that sort of thing. So I just had to cut some things that I like to do, and unfortunately, this was one of them. So I'll just throw some random videos out here and there until things get a little more subtle. But what I, of course, wanted to do this video for is because it is Valentine's Day. And, I just wanted to talk to the people that are maybe like me, single, you're at home, not doing much. Or maybe you've done some really nice, wonderful things for yourself, but you're still like, having a date would have been great. Or having a boyfriend or girlfriend would have been good too. If you're kind of feeling like that. So I just wanted to share something I've learned over the last year. Now, to just give you some background on myself, I've been single for about 10 and a half years. Some of that is just because there were some things I definitely had to work on for myself. But also, just a lot of the dating scene, and a lot of us know this, if you've been out there, it's just not working for a lot of people. For me, what has happened, and definitely in the last year, I now have language for it, but for a long time, 5, 6 years or whatever, I started to see a pattern. And what it was is just, somebody would show interest in me, and I'd kind of be open to it, and then all of a sudden the pattern happened. Like I saw the pattern. And what it was the same type of person over and over and over showing up. Same type of person, just different faces. But oh my gosh, it was getting to a point where it's not their fault. But I would just wanted to scream at them and be like, just get away from me. Just go away. Give it up. Let it go. Nothing's going to happen ever because duh. This is not gonna work. It's not. So anyway, can you tell my angst here? So I ultimately, in the past, actually I've had this pattern for a long time, even when I was a serial monogamous, same type of thing would come up. But I used to always think it was the person, is that person is da da. But now in the last 5 or 6 years, like every time it's the same type of person. So I realized for myself, I'm like, it's not the people. What is the common denominator in this situation? That would be me. So the reason this is repeating is it's not the people. It's me. I am doing something. Or it could be kind of both. One of the things that happens with patterns, and why they keep on going a lot of times, especially with dating, I'd say, we choose people that we're familiar with. And what we mean by familiar is not always a good thing. So if you come from like a dysfunctional family, which most of us have, and we find someone that has traits like someone in our family, it's going to feel very familiar, but you know what? It's not necessarily good for you. So, I've been able in the last 5 or 6 years to see the pattern. My problem has been I just don't know how to break the pattern. I just don't know how to break it, So it's been a struggle. But also I just wanted to go over this, too, because, a lot of you may have same thing I do, patterns happening, or, it's just the online dating in general, it's just the way it's set up, it's just not working for you. The game playing that happens out there, that happens at any age, any dateable age. you know, um, the ghosting, immature things that people think, but with intentions, they think the ghosting is not a bad thing. Yeah, still, it's not satisfying. It's not working for a lot of us. So I just wanted to talk about what I have found in the last year that I think might be helpful to a lot of people. So yes, it is a book I read. Big surprise there. But in my mind, I think this is like the INFJ dating Bible. Absolutely. Or if anything, it's the, intuitive feeler kind of dating Bible. I think this is what intuitive feelers are really looking for, and kind of gives us an idea of how to get there. So the book I have is the library, from the library. So you can't see some of the title, but I have to go and get my own. I just haven't gotten around to doing that yet. But the book that I want to let you know about is Deeper Dating: How to Drop the Games of Seduction and Discover the Power of Intimacy by Ken Page. So it's taken me a year to read this book, which is unusual for me. But the reason it took so long is because there's exercises that you can do. You can also do these with another person, as well as there's mini meditations. So I really, really took my time going through each of these sections and actually doing the exercises and repeating them a couple of times too. And it was like, it's not quite working. I didn't do that quite right, whatever. But what I think this is the INFJ dating Bible is because, the games, INFJs, I would say we're not game players. We're not. We're not into all that. We want actually an authentic connection. So for people playing games, it's lost on us. All you do is piss us off, or at least, or maybe just this INFJ. I don't know, but I'm thinking most of the INFJs feel that way. Okay, so let me just explain what this book is talking about. So one of the things it talks about is discovering your core gifts and how this can be helpful in building intimacy. And what we're talking about here is your core gifts are those really sensitive, vulnerable parts of ourselves that we tend to hide. Give you an example. For me, one that I tend to hide is when I was younger. I used to, if a movie made me sad, I would openly cry. Hallmark commercial come on, I'm bawling, and my family, including friends, were very critical, or they made fun of me in like a really bad way, to the point where I learned, oh no, this is something we cover up. Hence why, if you've watched my videos for a while, you see that tough girl come out quite a bit. So this book is talking about looking for those places and allowing those to not be seen as weaknesses anymore, but to see them as strengths. And that there are people out there, maybe your family and friends didn't appreciate it, but there are other people out there that will appreciate it. And I think I'm going to cry right now. But so he's just saying to find these parts, kind of take that armor off a little, not a little bit, but you should take the armor off and just kind of let it fly. And it's good because for those that don't appreciate it, obviously, not the person to be hanging out with. It's just not going to work out. If you can't let it out everywhere, at least if you meet someone like in a romantic sense, I think this personally helps women, men, any relationship you have really. But, if you find someone that you feel that you can really let that core gift out, then to let it out. I personally like to try and use it everywhere I can now. Not so much hiding it as I used to be. Sometimes I still have the habit, but I'm a work in progress. Come on. Now, another thing, and this is one that's really good. Now, just to let you know, at the end of this year, since I've done this book, I just want to point out there's no happy ending here. Did I find the love of my life? No, not yet. I got a lot of other things to work on still. But at least now I have a language for a lot of the things that I felt, or things that were happening to me, or things I was doing that I just didn't understand. Why is this always doing this, or blah, blah, blah. So now I have a language for it. So I'm very excited about this book. That's why I'm sharing it with you. The first thing is discovering your core gifts. The other one, and this one I will say though, has totally changed the playing field for me, so to speak. This one is to understand your attractions. And as I, mentioned before, I mean, I had this pattern and I had this, same type of person showing up. So again, and I knew it was something I was doing, or something, that each of us just felt familiar, but it wasn't necessarily right. And I'm just glad because this book kind of explains to us about our attractions, why we are attracted to certain people, and then why they're good people and we just don't do anything. So that's been very, very helpful for me. So the two types of attractions that they mention that there is the attraction of inspiration, attraction of deprivation. Okay. So that wild and crazy Hollywood freaking love stories that we see in real life, 9 times out of 10, those are attractions of deprivation. Because ultimately they don't give us what we really need. Or we don't even recognize what we need, and we just think it must be that because it feels, that must be the one because it feels like whatever. And no. And that's been really helpful for me because I mean, it was just hard, because I mean, I'm kind of, like a lot of women, when I was younger, loved the bad boy. Loved him. And I thought, oh, okay, just stop liking bad boys because that's a bad pattern. Then I liked nice guys. And nothing wrong with nice guys necessarily, but they weren't the good guys. They were nice guys. But that was my problem. Like, bad guys are kind of, the bad boy, you could kind of, tell. Yeah, that person's not probably good for me. But the nice guys was very hard. That one was very, very hard for me to see. And 9 times out of 10, the nice guys for me were attractions of deprivation because they were emotionally unavailable, or they just weren't, they just weren't willing to give, or they, just didn't understand my needs. But then again, I didn't really voice them either, so kind of my fault too. But the nice guy I kind of got confused about, because I thought they were good guys, and not exactly. Like I said, a nice guy is, I would say, someone that's a work in progress. They have some stuff to work on. As well as, I would be probably considered a nice girl. Am I a good girl? I don't know. I'd like to think so, but, there's a lot of things that I'm learning through this book that I'm like, well, maybe I got a lot of stuff to work on before I can be the good girl. So goes hand in hand here. But it's like I said, it's been good because now when somebody shows interest, I can immediately see like the blinders are off. There isn't maybe possibly, no, I can tell. No, that's going to be not good. Now attractions of inspiration, those tend to be the ones where maybe somebody shows us interest and we're just kind of like, all right, whatever. You're just not really excited about them, but those are the ones that you may want to look at a little more closely, because just because it doesn't have the wild, crazy feelings and fireworks that we're used to, doesn't mean it's a bad match. Love, a lot of times, it's about growing over time, or at least that's what I hear. So, I mean, definitely, with this person that maybe does, you're kind of like, yeah, they're kind of cute. Yeah, I like them, kind of, they're not bad. Give them a chance. Get to know them. You may find that you have a lot more in common. There's a lot of things that, they may offer or bring to the table that, you are actually looking for and you're actually wanting. But because you've been so distracted by this attraction of deprivation, you've kind of missed out on these people. So, I mean, definitely, um, yeah, definitely. And I know I've been in this category too. I feel so bad about it too. Just because I was thinking like back in when I was in my early 20s, I was so fixated on the bad boy. He had to have tattoos, piercing, wild and crazy hair. And there was a guy that really liked me from upstate New York. And he was a really nice guy. He totally, totally was. And he just was crazy about me. And, I turned him down. Why? Because he didn't have tattoos and the piercings and the crazy hair. So I look back at that now and kick myself, going, I'm a freaking idiot. I should have went for it at the time, because a lot of different things probably would have happened in my life. But yeah, can't do that now. But again, I'm able to, with how he explains attractions of inspiration, to be able to look back on times when there was the good guy. And because I was so distracted by that attraction of deprivation, I just blew them off and said no, like an idiot. Anyway, now another thing that they kind of mentioned too, which I find very, very cool because, oh my gosh, I've been there a billion times. But there was this other part too where, let's say you do get with the good guy, good girl, whoever, okay? And they're perfect, at first there wasn't the fireworks, but, you're starting to really grow into it and you're really kind of enjoying it and you're finding yourself, actually maybe falling in love with them. And if you have patterns like I do, I'm sure you recognize this pattern where everything is going great and then you freak out because you're like, oh, everything's boring. Maybe I don't like this person because this and this is going on and da da da. And you start, sabotaging the whole thing. I'm the self-sabotage club right here. So it kind of explains, and oh, I'm just so grateful because now if I go through it again, I'll be like, okay, just breathe, breathe and chill out. But it talks about, every relationship, especially with, a good relationship, you get to that kind of freak out point, and you start second guessing yourself. And what he talks about is he says, just write it through. Take a breath, write it through, because once you get to the other side of that, you're going to be going on a good path. How many times have, I know I do it all. I do it all the time. Well, I can't say I do it all the time. Well, I used to. I don't know. Maybe I still do. I haven't been in a relationship to know if I still do it. But yeah, there was a part that, for me, I would feel like nothing's going right. And, I just have to break up with him. It just, everything's blah, blah, blah. And, 9 times out of 10, we would talk about it and, I would stick around. They kind of talk me into it and stuff. And, for a long time, again, I thought it was just us. We don't work out. And it was like, no, you kind of freaked out. You're just sabotaging happiness. So that's what I think is great because I didn't have a language for all that. Didn't know that some of these weird things that I've done, that I thought were legitimate, kind of aren't. It's just, these emotions come up and we just kind of go in this other direction that's not necessarily good because we don't know. And now I know. So hopefully I'll be able to breathe in and breathe out during that time and not freak out. So he talks about that. Also, just learning how to be more intimate. Also, where to look. He says that, like online dating isn't such a bad thing necessarily, but he says really, you make that a smaller portion of online dating. He kind of explains the whole, online dating, thing that we all kind of know. Online dating is almost like shopping on Amazon. We're just going through products and these actually happen to be people. But that's what we're doing. And that's the whole game of online dating. They want you to do that so they can stay in business. So it's the whole game. Um, but it's okay to meet people through there. But really, he says that meeting people in a different way is much better, like actually in person. So for me personally, I mean, I still kept the online dating just in case, but is not working for me. Maybe I'm just old school. But what he does mention is, meeting people like in person. So, like in the meetup groups that I talk about, going out and doing like something fun that's a hobby and then you just happen to meet people and then you meet someone that likes you and there you go, volunteering, actually face-to-face type of stuff is much better than the online dating. But he, again, doesn't completely count it out because it is part of our culture. But wants to try and you want to try and turn it more into a face-to-face dealing with people in real time. so so that's good, kind of reconnects us to how to balance, I think, online dating with, the kind of the old school, way of just, getting out there, not doing the bars, not doing the clubs, the normal places you would meet people, that are very cliche. To actually go out and do something fun, and volunteer, whatever, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. But so he does talk about that, but I say, definitely how to balance the online dating with actually meeting people in the real world here. Another thing that he talks about too is cultivating lasting love, how, what your sexual core gifts are, being loved into fullness, that sort of thing. So yeah, I think this is an amazing, amazing book. Now, just to give you an idea of him, he is a psychotherapist. So he has this book, Deeper Dating, so check it out. But also, he does have a podcast. So if you want to just hear what he's talking about, if you're just not a reader, he has a podcast. I believe he has it on iTunes. I definitely know it's on Spotify. So check it out. I kind of have like a podcast Sunday that I'm doing lately, so I've been kind of listening to a lot of him as well. Just in case he goes over some things that aren't in this book. Good things for me to hear. So yeah, I just think, again, this is just a really, really good book about if you're wanting to find authentic, connections, and you just want to drop all this game playing and all this just ridiculous, I'm perfect, I'm, big money bucks, whatever, out here we've got the, what do you mean, what do they call them? The 30-aire, make $30,000 a year, but act like you're a millionaire. If you want to drop all that craziness, check this book out, read it, or check out Ken Page's podcast, and really get into it because, like I said, some of the reasons why you might not be having a good time with the dating either is not just necessarily the people. It's you too, and you have to look at things and maybe rearrange things and see where your patterns are and decide if those are patterns you want to keep or change. I know I've had quite a few things in here that came up that about me that I was not happy or proud of, but also it gave me a really good reason, a good thing, not reason, but thing to really think, do I want to keep that kind of thing or not? And if so, what is the result of keeping it? So that's kind of the reason why it's taken me a long time and I'm still working some things out. So there, like I said, there's been a couple things that just came up where I'm like, in certain circumstances, that trait is great to have. In other circumstances, not so much. Or maybe the circumstances, not even that, it's just like, I personally like it. The result I want, maybe not going to happen because of it. And I have to decide, do I want to keep that? or change it. And so I'm really kind of in the middle of that. But ultimately, I still think it's good. I mean, again, we've all done it. We've done all the websites, we've done all the books on, how to date. This is just something I think, hey, if you tried all the other things, try this one. See if you get a different result. I mean, it doesn't hurt. So that's what I've got to say on Valentine's Day. So don't feel bad. You're not the only one out there that doesn't have a significant other or is out on a date. And that's okay. But also, this might help you. And by the end of the year, you might just have the love of your life. You never know. So it doesn't hurt to try. All right. So for now, I will just say take care and I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye.